The Middle Ground is a Star Wars podcast hosted by Max Opasek and Kevin Isaacs. All the media that is discussed in the podcast is owned by Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company. The boys' opinions are, well, you guessed it, simply just their opinions. So please tune in, relax, and McClunky.
He looks like a normal Gungan, right? Not Boss Nash.
Yeah, he looks kind of like General Tarples. Like he's like gray and like dingy.
Does he have like the little flaps?
No, he's got the flaps underneath though, because he's got a beard.
Ew.
Yeah.
Wait, is it like a real beard or is it like a skin tentacle
no,
beard?
skin tentacle. They hang down from his
God.
chin.
Ugh. We need to actually draw him or have Alex draw him because
He's really fat too, but only his body.
so
Imagine,
like his
imagine Boss Nass with Partar Bink's head.
Well, I don't know what his Partar Bink's head looks like. Does he look? It's Captain
Tarples with a
Tarples.
beard.
So like a huge body, small head.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, and he's got Predator knife gauntlets. He's a warrior. Did I forget to mention that?
I mean, well, he was at every single significant battle in all of Star Wars, so I mean,
Yeah.
and apparently, according to you, he was well over 600 years old. If he invented fuck muck.
He didn't.
It's FUK, not.
So he actually, in the Clone Wars episodes we're going to talk about today, he was one of the Gungans, one of the key Gungans to killing and taking out General Grievous.
You know what? Let me put that episode on then while we talk about the Clone Wars. I was going to say the first, but it's technically not. It's not even close to being the first Star Wars TV show. Because there was the original Clone Wars, but that was like a mini-series. But then they also had the Ewok TV shows and the Droids cartoon. But this was like the first like full-fledged, they're putting a lot of time and effort into it show.
And I have a weird... so we're on episode 4 right now, right?
Yeah, of season 4.
There's literal slavery in season 4.
Yeah. Oh, you want to just jump into that?
Yeah. And which is... It's not an... there...
He's not laughing at slavery. He's laughing at General Grievous fighting about Gungan. Let's start over and talk about like the origin of it, because we're not going to be talking about the movie, but the movie was the first thing to come out of this. And
yeah, and they really, I mean, I think it was just like Ahsoka's introduction.
That's the main thing you could take away from it, and I like it. I mean, I'm not like...
I'm sorry, dead Captain Tarple is so funny.
It just looks weird. And it's weird that they're making a big deal out of Captain Tarples, but oh well. I like the movie. I'm not like... I don't like love it. I probably, if I was going to put it in that ranking we did, it'd definitely be on the lower end. I'd say I probably would put it probably just after Solo. Just because it's sort of, the pacing is kind of lackluster, because originally it was supposed to be 4 different episodes. So you know how like all these are out of order?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the Ahsoka episode, like her introduction, all separate, and then it was going to be the whole Jabba the Hutt son thing was going to be a 3-part arc. So they basically just meshed 4 stories together, and that's why it's kind of a bit wonky.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels a bit weird.
Yeah. So I always thought that the movie was basically just the pilot for the series.
I mean, yeah, that's what it is basically. If you don't count Ambush, first technical episode. But yeah, it's basically just the only reason to rewatch that, unless you're like a diehard fan, is just to see introduction of Ahsoka, and I mean, that's basically it. I can't think of anything, because it's like you can't even say it's the intro to the Clone Wars, because Attack of the Clones does that.
It's actually the intro to Jabba the Hutt's kid.
Yeah, that comes back once after the movie, I think.
Which my theory is that Jabba the Hutt just ate him.
You see, that's the strange thing, is because he doesn't come back not only in the show, but like no other point in canon. Like he's never mentioned or referenced or anything. Like several other Hutts are, but he isn't. What's his name again? Rada.
Binko.
Binko?
Binko the Hutt.
I'm gonna look it up. I think it's Rada the Hutt.
Rada. Either way, like, to even name that baby character that comes through like once. Does it come through? Does the Jabba the Hutt's baby come through again in the series?
He shows up one. It's like a cameo. It's not like a plot relevant thing. But yeah, the movie, it's just basically there for setup, and I don't think it does super well of a job other than the Ahsoka Anakin stuff. I do like the opening with Kristoff. All that stuff is fine. I just think the rest of the movie is just all right.
Yeah.
1 second. Because on Wikipedia, if you go to the bottom, so the movie, and then one episode, and then he's mentioned once after that, and just nothing after that. But again, like I don't want to keep dwelling on that, but it's just like whatever. We'll go over the movie in extensive length another day, but this is more about the show. So is there anything you wanted to specifically start with the show, an aspect of it that you liked?
Yes. So I brought up the slavery point, and then we kind of went away from that. And I want to finish that thought so I don't sound like a bigot.
Oh.
So the show was aired on Cartoon Network. Was every single season aired except for this most latest one that came out on last year or whatever?
Well, okay, if you want a brief history lesson. So it started in 2008. On Cartoon Network, and then it aired all the way up to season 5. So like the last episode that aired on Cartoon Network was Ahsoka leaving.
Yeah.
Then Disney bought Star Wars, and then there was like some conflict about like, oh, if we own the show, we don't want to air it on like a rival network or anything.
Yeah.
So they canceled it, which was, I'm gonna make a whole episode about how we feel about Disney's done with Star Wars. That's gonna be a big negative sticking point, was canceling the show.
Oh.
But we'll get into that. But then they were like, okay, well, they have some episodes that were nearly finished, about 13 of them. That was season 6 that aired on Netflix. And then for a while, that's all we thought we were going to get until, Disney Plus and season 7 and all that. That's why they have all those. That's why I'm kind of negative on season 7. Ooh, I can actually talk about that this episode.
Yes.
I could finally say my piece on that. But that's why I'm a bit more negative on season 7, is because I look at all the stuff that got, canceled, and then they're like, oh, this is the final season. It's like, really? You couldn't have done more with this, with all of these canceled
I guarantee if they would have done... Look, if they would have done something different, like and added like another season or something, like a 8th season.
Yeah.
Or even like split up and have more episodes in season 7.
Yeah, just do 2 a day.
Yeah, because that's something that I always... Like, you can definitely tell when the show changes, like, over time. Because, like, in the beginning, it's like, oh, these are just things that are happening in the Star Wars universe. Sometimes they have plot relevance to, like, the Jedi and all that. Sometimes they don't. But then, like, you get to, season 5 and 6, where they start talking, like, where they go to, like, the clones, inhibitor chips, reacting negatively or whatever.
It's a bit more, like Harry Potter in that regard. It sort of matures with its audience. Not that the... earlier ones are like childish per se, but they're definitely more of the droid humor, and they think there's at least one Jar Jar episode per season. I think that
I like General Grievous's Naboo prison too.
Yeah, we're talking about season 4, episode 4, where it's a low point. I don't want to get into the negatives too much right now. We wanted to make a separate video talking about specific episodes that we enjoy and then like that we hate. Well, I don't know about hate. Not hate for me, with hate with this show.
Hate with the show. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for me, I don't think even at the season 7 stuff, I don't hate that. I just think it's like bad. You know what I mean? Now there will be stuff in like Rebels. There'll be moments where I talk about like this is something that I hate and I think it's stupid. But you were talking about Cartoon Network airing the more mature slaver stuff.
Yeah, so that's my thing, was like when I argue that Star Wars was, after the prequels, more aimed towards a younger audience for kids, because the fan base is all old nerds at that point.
Yeah.
And so when you make it towards kids, like I think that was a thing that I had like an issue, was that like, oh, everything can't be as like dark, like the themes can't all be as dark as they were in the sequel or the prequel or original trilogy.
Yeah.
So then they added some really dark stuff
Well,
into this Clone Wars, like the Deception, for instance. It's an
mhm.
episode I want to talk about. It doesn't really have huge plot relevance to like the Jedi versus the Sith, but Obi-Wan, there will be full spoilers, by the way. If you haven't watched the Clone Wars,
It's over 10 years old
it's
at
over
this
10
point,
years, so
and it's on Disney
yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
and I mean,
so get over it.
oh,
Um, there's like the episode 15 in season 4 where Anakin or Obi-Wan like fake gets assassinated to infiltrate like a bounty hunters group to capture Cad Bane.
no, well, there was a kidnapping attempt. There's like a rumor going around that there's going to be a kidnapping attempt on Palpatine.
Yes.
So Obi-Wan infiltrates the group to like sabotage it.
Yes, and like with that, I enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining, like the
Oh, yeah.
episodes. But the thing I wanted to talk about was when Anakin like is at Obi-Wan's funeral and stuff.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Anakin is like if the movie like episode 3 didn't exist, but you knew Anakin was still gonna turn into Darth Vader, I feel like okay, it's gonna happen now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he's gonna like start cutting heads off. I feel
Well,
like.
that's what you just said. It didn't really have any big relevance. I'd argue that it does. It shows because at the end, Anakin feels so betrayed by the Council and Obi-Wan. He's like, I think the last thing he says is, "How many other lies have I been told by the Council?" So that it's just creating more of a separation. So I would say that it does actually have a maybe not story wise, but character wise does further push Anakin away.
Yeah,
And
you could say that.
going back a bit, you said that the prequels didn't have darker themes. I'd say that they have way darker themes than the originals.
For sure, episode 3 did.
Well, for sure, yeah. Maybe not episode 1 is like light on those similar themes.
Yeah.
So, you were saying earlier how you felt that season 1 and maybe a bit of 2 were a bit more anthology style and disconnected, and that's like to the overall plot of things. And that's what I really like and think that this show does well, and that's why I put season 1 and 2 above like season 7, is because I do like the anthology style. And Rebels tried to do this a little bit of like, oh well, we'll have a random episode here and a random episode here while trying to have an overarching story, and I just don't think it was executed that well.
I don't think that doesn't work as a theory like for shows, because Mandalorian basically does that now.
It does do like to varying degrees of success.
Yes, like for instance, like we have to go and find Ahsoka, but my ship is completely obliterated from like the past 2 episodes. So I need to go repair it. And it's like, okay, that makes sense.
And then while he's repairing it, he's doing stuff that's plot relevant to the overall show.
Yes.
Like the ship being there is a reason for the action to kick off.
Whereas like Rebels would just start in like a completely new area, like you don't know if it was before or after, like timeline wise, and it's like I don't really get how this like I want to get back to stuff that like actually like furthers the story, because this all just feels like not all. I'm not gonna say all of Rebels, but a lot of Rebels like just feels like useless filler.
Yeah, it
almost.
feels like here's random character from the original trilogy, or here's something from Legends we brought back, and that's the only thing in the episode that's like, oh look, proto Dark Troopers, and it's like, well, that's nice, but
I don't want to talk about Rebels this entire time.
no, but
go ahead. I'll say like there's like some episodes like you said they bring back old characters and stuff, and like one episode that comes to mind for that is like the one where they find like the droid ship where all the droids are still active.
Oh yeah, it's a character from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's like this is just Clone Wars.
Yeah,
you have Rex, who's basically like the center stage.
That's why I always say.
And Kanan is like, it's just like old times, huh?
Yeah,
basically.
It's like It's like Rebels never got a chance to do its own thing. It was always up until like the last season was, sorry, we canceled Clone Wars. Here's Darth Maul. Here's Ahsoka. Here's Captain Rex. Here's Hondo. Here's all these storylines that these other characters really have nothing to do with. And some of it works, and some of it feels like, why is Ezra here when this should clearly be Darth Maul and Obi-Wan's story? But anyway, getting back to the style of the way the episodes are, I love that you can... Let's just look at the first season. First episode is an episode with Yoda and the clones. Second arc, or like the first real arc, is the Malevolence arc, and each of these are sort of on their own as well. You could watch Shadow of Malevolence not having seen Rising or Destroy and be fulfilled. And then you got Rookies, and I know it's technically a part of another arc, but in this season alone, it's just a story about clones, and the next one's about R2-D2 missing, and then the next one's a Jar Jar episode, and then, you know, Grievous episode. That's what I think it does well, is there's such variety while also still being connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's what is so great about Clone Wars, is that you have like such a giant universe set up by, you know, episode 2, and you know what's gonna happen leading into episode 3. So it is kind of constricting. Like you have to eventually get to episode 3.
That's
like,
what I think's exciting about it, though.
Yes, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because episode like right now, like, you have a giant intergalactic war going on that was started in episode 2, and you go to episode 3 and you're at the end of the war. It's like, oh well, this is literally everything in between then and that, like between 2 and 3, which is a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And clearly they get right into it.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like, oh, if they never would have shown like some of the political stuff about Naboo, like, who cares?
Yeah.
But like I think that stuff's exciting. I like the Padme stuff.
I like it for the most part. There are like a few episodes where I'm like, again, I don't hate it. I'm just sort of like, you know, this is all right. Like the Senate murders from season 2, where her uncle Rodian dies, and it's like, but I think it had to do something with a Kaminoan cloning deal. I can't remember precisely. I know one of them dealt with that, but
it's hard to remember all these
offhand. But I do like the contrast of like early Clone Wars, where it is like 1 to 2 episode arcs. There's a few 3 in there, like, you know, Ryloth and stuff. Or
like one of my favorite episodes, if you go up a little bit, it is the Hidden Enemy, where it's like it has almost nothing to do with Jedi or Sith, and it just has to do with clones and a traitor clone, and that's it. And it's so, like, that's another thing, like the show, like they have even though it was aired on Cartoon Network, they handle really heavy themes, and like they have like major decapitation scenes.
Yeah, there's dark stuff.
Yeah, and like, for instance, like the clones. I think the clones were almost like a throwaway thing, right?
Yeah.
You could say like, oh, they made clones because they needed an army in episode 2. In episode 3, it's like, oh, the clones were made so they can be stormtroopers. And it's like, but in this, like, following mainly Captain Rex is the main clone, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, the camera's on. He's like he thinks and has like a morality, and he follows orders, but like he won't follow an order if he doesn't agree with it. Like, he'll go behind your back and like, I'm gonna do the thing that's right. Yeah. And then like he even like question like, what's the point of us clones? Like, what happens when we win? You know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like the clones are surprisingly one of the things that the Clone Wars does the best, because if you look at the movies, like you were saying, they really are just static soldiers. Like, yes, sir, we've got an entire platoon headed for Geonosis.
And they were taken so not seriously. They were all just CGI armor. I think you told me there's not one actual like clone, like physical clone armor that was made for episode 2.
And from just the movies, I think the only one that gets more than a few lines of dialogue and has a personality is Cody, and it's only for a brief moment. You know, he's just talking with Obi-Wan.
Yeah, or the clone flying the ship. Hit him below the fuel cells. Roger.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant the one at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith that just had like a few lines. But basically, yeah, they don't really have anything. But this really dives deep into like, these are all clones of a guy, but they're all individuals. Yet they're only seen by the public as being these mere clones. And one of the best arcs, one of your favorite arcs, one of my favorite arcs, is the Umbara arc, and that is the best clone arc. My favorite clone episode is Rookies, because that's the first one, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff.
Umbara directly challenges the idea of a clone.
Yes.
Like with what's his name, Pon Krell.
Yes.
General Krell, where he's
asshat, piece of shit.
He is a bad guy. Like, he's not a Sith, but he's gonna be a Sith if like he's alive.
Yeah, this is stupid mind. You think Count Dooku's gonna be like, oh,
yeah,
take me as your apprentice? Like,
that's just one of those political things, you know.
Yeah, he had like a vision or something of the clones turning on the Jedi or something. He's basically the whole theme of this is prejudice, and he's very prejudiced against the clones. He thinks that they're just disposable,
Yeah, and
people.
You could probably make a pretty good argument for that too, because they were literally bred and made for war.
Right, yeah.
But they have personalities.
They're
not,
people.
They're not droids.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing, is they're not droids.
But
so,
he's
like,
not viewing them like
but
that.
Nobody views them like that.
Yeah, except for, like, good old Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, and, like, a couple, like, basically just the really good Jedi.
The main characters.
The main
with
character.
plot armor.
Yes. Well, I mean, like, Plo Koon even has that famous line where they're like, but Sarah, we're just clones. And he's like, not to me.
Not to me.
Not to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I would kiss you if I could.
Oh, God. He takes his mask off. It's like...
He just has, like, really beautiful, voluptuous lips. And he goes... Because he can breathe in space, right?
So, with the mask, not taking it off.
He just goes, let me give you my air.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway. Plo Koon, by the way, one of my favorite Jedi because of this show.
Yeah.
He's just a really cool character. He's also one of Dave Filoni's favorites, too.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, is, like, you only really see, like, a couple of Jedi in the original, or not the original, yeah, but
2, 3.
Like 1, 2, and 3 you see a lot, but you really only follow the main Anakin, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
You see a lot of Yoda in this movie.
Yeah.
But, like, in this movie, they have, like, Rising of Malevolence. One of the main characters and key characters in the plot is Plo Koon.
Yeah.
Where you go to the Geonosis one. Is that Landing at Point Rain? Is that the first one?
Mm-hmm.
And Kid Mundi is, like, a main character in that. And you even see a little character development with him at the end where Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka are like, I killed 74. And she's like, I killed 75. And he's like, but I killed 80. What do I get? And Anakin's like, my undying respect. And it's like,
a kiss. And then Plo Koon comes over you.
It's like, let me kiss you.
Close the door, please. All right.
Take off.
No, but that's another thing. Like I think I said it previously, was that this show really amplifies the good qualities of the prequels. And I think that's why a lot of people are more turned on about them now. And it really, like I said, not only highlights the clones, but, like, the Jedi as well, because like you just said, you really only get Mace, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and maybe a little bit of Qui-Gon, but he's only in one movie.
Yeah.
This really makes Order 66 go from a sad scene to, like, a really horribly sad, because before it was like, you only watch the movies, Ki-Adi-Mundi is just sort of, he's just a Jedi. Ayla
He's
Secura,
like, what about the Wookiees?
Yeah, it's just, everyone is just sort of, like, there and is a Jedi, but actually, like, getting to know Plo Koon and Ayla and Ki-Adi and Kit Fisto and all them.
And, making Plo Koon and Ahsoka, like, know each other.
Yeah, he was the one that found her.
Yeah.
They got, like, a special connection.
Yeah, and then that's another thing. You think, like, is that really a special connection, though? Because he kind of abducted her as a kid.
That's
or not
true,
abducted
yeah.
her, but, like,
I don't
know
technically
the
like
full
a
story.
form of. Well, I mean, the way the Jedi do stuff is they seek out the kids and take them from their parents. Like, now, I'm sure if a parent said no, they'd be like, okay,
but you have to know. Like,
yeah,
it could be dangerous.
yeah. I'm
or
sure
whatever.
they give them. I think someone said they give them like a pamphlet. It's just like, oh,
here's
take
my
good
card.
care.
Call me.
Yeah. That's another arc I really like, is the Cad Bane stealing the holocron. Can I talk about Cad Bane for a minute?
Yeah.
You want to talk about original characters in this show that really stand out?
Yeah.
You talk about Cad Bane. Like, oh my God. I realized one of the reasons I like Jango Fett so much. Yeah. Jedi, you want to dance, little lady? Like, just like.
You want to dance and maybe go out for dinner and give me a kiss at the end of the night and give me your number?
I don't remember that part. Is that a deleted scene? No.
No, it was a concept scene.
No, but, like, one of the reasons when we were watching Attack of the Clones, I might have said it. I'm really bad with remembering, but one of the reasons I thought Jango Fett was so cool in comparison to Boba Fett, sorry, John, but was that he went toe-to-toe with Obi-Wan. He went toe-to-toe with Obi-Wan and actually won.
Like, hand-to-hand fist fight with a Jedi.
Helmet-to-head combat and, like, survived. Now, of course, he died to Mace Windu, but, I mean, his jetpack was destroyed. He would have won. Anyway. Just kidding.
Like,
but Cad Bane, the amount of times he goes up against Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Quinlan Voss, just Jedi in general, and like escapes
every single time.
He's just so cool. Like cool from his voice to his look to like the hat.
Yeah, and he's
everything.
He's just what are they called? Duros.
Duros. Yeah, he's
like they're all over the place.
He's an OT alien. Yeah, but he really. You know what I just realized? He's got those breather tube things on his cheeks, but he can take those off. So like, what are those for?
Shut up. Don't ask. It's a cool choice.
But that was one of my, or I guess it's one of my favorite arcs. I really like it though. He goes into the Jedi Temple and steals a holocron.
Yeah,
and gets away. Well, he doesn't. They eventually capture him, but he like.
Yeah, and
he has it.
Isn't Sidious the one who contacts him?
Yeah.
And he's like, Sidious, first of all,
yeah,
Emperor Palpatine directly contacts this one bounty hunter and goes, "Listen, I need you to steal a holocron." And he goes, "You're crazy."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'll give you whatever you want." He says, "Give me a ship and this, and I'll do it." And then he does it.
So cool. I think sadly the last arc he was in was the box, but that is one of his best because he's technically around Obi-Wan the entire time, and you really get to see Cad Bane in his element, and you see that he's got like a moral code as like skewed for a bounty hunter it is, but when Moralo Evolve, the guy is about to cheat, he I think he saves Obi-Wan's life, and he's like, you're not gonna like cheese him out of this, you got to do it like a man. It's like, oh man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think he's probably the best fleshed out bounty hunter, because like if you want to talk about the concept episodes that were almost done but scrapped because Disney bought it, I don't know the episode or the story in full, so if you want to tell the one about Cad Bane.
So there was supposed to be an arc about Cad Bane and Boba Fett rescuing was it a Force-sensitive Tusken Raider on Tatooine? Or like, they were going to do something with a Tusken Raider, I think. But the whole thing was going to be Cad Bane taking Boba under his wing because he and Jango were like tight back in the day. So he almost felt like it was like his responsibility. But the cool thing is that was really going to be the arc, at least from what I've seen and heard, where Boba became the Boba Fett from the OT, and he really became he really came into his own, because at the very end of it, there was going to be people like kidnapped or something, like held at gunpoint, and Boba was going to be like, "All right, Cad, we can't do this," and Cad Bane was like going to do like a Western standoff, complete with the shots of like their hands right by their holstered guns and everything, and I even like how Bosk is like, "Let's let the kid take his shot." Like he was he was all behind Boba. Like, yeah, let's see him do it. And I almost positive Cad Bane was supposed to die there because Boba did the quick draw. They both shot at the same time, but Cad Bane shot Boba in his helmet, and that's how he got that famous dent.
Yeah,
it was going to be cool. And if Cad Bane had gone out like that, that would have been perfect, and that would have been the catalyst for Boba and everything. But we never got that. I want to talk about that probably towards the end.
Yeah, that's why I was not going to bring that up. But if we're talking about Cad Bane, we have to talk about the end of Cad Bane.
That's true.
Too.
Well, on the topic of original characters, I'll let you introduce Hondo.
I love Hondo.
I love him too.
So I love Clone Wars Hondo. Rebels Hondo, every time I see him on screen, I just get filled with rage.
Wow.
I just
really?
think they've him over.
Yeah.
Not even story-wise, but visually. He looks like a homeless man.
That's a whole topic of like, it's weirdly inconsistent because some of the Rebels, like Darth Maul, I think looks fine. Obi-Wan looks great. Yoda looks like garbage. Bo-Katan looks horrible. And Hondo, it doesn't even look like the same character. That's like the problem.
So I want to talk more on Rebels just as much as the next guy. But this is about Clone Wars.
This is about Hondo.
This is about Hondo, baby.
This is about our boy.
You pull up the first Hondo episode.
That's what I was.
It's Dooku captured, right?
No.
Oh,
the Gungan general.
So
Dooku captured.
I love Hondo because they, we know that pirates and shit exist, but we never really get a close look at them except for Jabba the Hutt. Everyone knows the Hutts are like the Outer Rim guys.
The Hutts are gangsters.
The Hutts are gangsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you know what to expect, but when they added Hondo, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So his intro episode is he captures Count Dooku, and then when Obi-Wan and Anakin, they go to pick him up. They go to like negotiate to release him and get them in their custody. They capture Obi-Wan and Anakin. And it's like, oh, these are some competent dudes.
Oh yeah.
And like you see Hondo, like, at least at first, he's like, he's a bad guy. He's a pirate. But then as you learn about him, he's like, no, I just want money.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to kill you. I don't want to kill the Jedi.
Yeah.
I just want, I'll give you right back to them. They just got to pay me first.
I love that. His whole thing is loyalty
To
where
money.
there is none. Yeah. It's like the ever changing river of fluid loyalty.
Yeah.
He's just
like
whatever is gonna like get him on top.
He is so consistently like just looking out for himself, and that's the best part about him. Is like, for instance, at the end of the whole Dooku thing, you know, the Jedi are like, yeah, we're just gonna leave, and he's like, you're not gonna attack me or kill me or bring me in. They're like, we have nothing against you.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, very honorable.
Yeah.
And then you see like later on, like they're doing the youngling Jedi where they're gonna steal the holocrons.
The Bugs Life episode.
Yeah, the bugs. Hondo goes, no, we don't attack Republic ships anymore. We don't do that. And then they go, but they have what are they, kyber crystals? And he goes, yeah, let's go steal them.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool.
he's like the perfect anti-hero because he considers Obi-Wan to be a friend in like a very funny sort of like, are you serious kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I think even in Rebels, that's probably my favorite moment, is like, I used to be friends with Jedi. At least I think we were friends. He's clearly talking about Obi-Wan. But I think my favorite Hondo episode is when Darth Maul sort of like mutinies part of his men and takes him over, and then Hondo sort of rallies his troop back against him. And
yeah,
I don't know. It's a really good episode.
It shows like Hondo isn't like an idiot. Like he's not like really like meticulous and smart, but like he knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
Like he knows like, oh, I can't do what I'm doing without all of my crew of people.
Mm-hmm. He's a good leader too. Well, maybe not a good leader, but he can definitely rally people.
Yeah, and like, wasn't it in season? I haven't watched season 7 since it all was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But like, didn't like they try to convince Hondo to like smuggle supplies to Mandalore or something? Or there was an episode where they were like, "We want to pay you to smuggle supplies."
That's season 5. That was to Onderon.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. And even then, like the Jedi are like, "Well, we know Hondo exists. We're not gonna arrest him."
Mm-hmm.
Which that's also oversight. Like that's all you could say is bad in the Jedi. Like they are willingly gonna work with pirates to get the job done. It's like Jedi wouldn't do that.
Normal Jedi.
Wouldn't do that. But this is Clone Wars Jedi, where they're literally generals. Generals in war, and they're wearing armor and slicing down thousands of droids by themselves.
Yeah. You know what? I just thought of something. No, never mind. That's a very strange thought. I'm not gonna dwell on that.
Yeah, well, Hondo, I just think that like he's such a great character that they added.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only like because I like him so much, but he brings a lot more to like other people. Like Obi-Wan dealing with Hondo. I'll say it again at the end of this episode where he's like, you know, I'm not gonna arrest you. I'm also gonna warn you. Count Dooku's gonna try and murder you and everyone you love, so you might want to be careful about that.
Yeah.
It's like he's probably pissed that you captured him, so just keep that in mind.
It's almost it's also kind of like a, well, why even bother attacking Hondo when Dooku's gonna do it anyway type deal.
Yeah, you could say that.
So is that all you have to say about Hondo?
Pretty much. I love Hondo. He's one of my favorite characters, the original characters they put in Clone Wars. Probably top 5 even.
The last original character that I can really think of that makes like a big impression, you know, like overall, is Rada the Hutt. Gotta give it up for Rada the Hutt.
Rada the Hutt.
Little baby Huttlet from the first. No, I'm just funny.
I was like,
I'm talking about Uncle Zero.
We talked about it at the beginning of the episode, and I already forgot. That's how forgettable Rada the Hutt is.
No, I'm talking about Ahsoka. Ahsoka Tano. How did you feel about her originally when she first debuted? So,
I always thought Ahsoka was like just supposed to be young Anakin, and they put her with Anakin because Ahsoka's just Anakin, you know, in a nicer, not as I killed them all, the women and the
guess.
children. Like, she doesn't like to do what the Jedi says. She likes to do what she thinks is right, which, for the most part, is what Anakin is like too. You know?
Yeah.
Because like, there'll be many parallels where Anakin's like, "Yes, sir. We won't go save Obi-Wan. We won't do any of that." And Ahsoka's like, "But why not?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Shut up, Ahsoka."
Yeah.
And they hang up, and he goes, "Okay, we're gonna go save Obi-Wan."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's just like exactly what she would have done, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that story-wise, like, oh, they took it and ran with her so good.
Yeah. Well, like initially when I saw her, I didn't really. I mean, I was like what 10, and I didn't really like her. I didn't really hate her. I was just sort of like, eh. But then like as it dragged on, I was sort of like, well, she has to die before Revenge of the Sith. And then I went through my angsty phase of, well, the new Clone Wars isn't as good as the old one, and I was like, yeah, Ahsoka's stupid. Man, I wish I just kill her off already. And then like I found out that she had like left like years after I had found out that she had like left the Jedi Order because I wasn't really keeping up with the show.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's kind of strange. She like left. They didn't kill her off, and then I found out. I was like, oh my god, she got framed for everything. But I think she has easily the best, even though it's an anthology series, the best consistent character like through line.
Yes, because you can, if you just pay attention to her character throughout every season and every episode, it changes. Like, she gets more mature. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there was the arc on Felucia, where they're like, oh, we have to retreat, and she's like, no, I've got them on the run.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I want to keep pursuing them.
Mm-hmm.
And like they get pissed at her, and they're like, Ahsoka, you have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're gonna overwhelm you. And she's like, no, they're not. They're on the run.
Yeah.
And then she gets in trouble and has to do, is it library duty?
Yeah, that's the
That's
Holocron
how-
arc. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, like eventually she very, like, they put it in front of your face. Like, she learns her lesson about patience and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like she was like a little then. She was just
Yeah.
like Anakin was, and Anakin is right now.
Well, I think he definitely matured after Clones,
Yes, but
like before the series
Yeah.
starts.
he just got smarter about doing things behind the council's back.
I think that Ahsoka up until the end of like Ahsoka season 1 to 2, definitely not as good as later on, but she's
Yeah.
growing, changing, and you can appreciate her when you go back and watch it.
Yeah.
But I'd say the point where she really comes into her own is the last 2 episodes of season 3, where she gets captured by the Trandoshans, and she's got to meet. And you want to talk about using original trilogy characters well? Chewbacca's in that arc, and it works well, and it
Yeah.
makes sense because he contacts the Wookiees. He contacts, I think Tarful's in that episode.
Captain
Captain Tarples
Captain Tarples.
and Captain or is it just Tarful?
Tarful.
Tarful and Tarples. Anyway, but I think that that's a really good one because it's at the very end. She's like, I was able to survive because of the things you taught me, and that's blatant setup for what's going to happen later. Like,
Yeah.
Ahsoka is able to do the things she does after Order 66 through Rebels, even beyond because of the stuff Anakin taught her.
Yeah,
You know,
and that episode with her is great because I always thought, like, oh, if Anakin was here instead of Ahsoka, it would have been fine. Like, he would have fixed the problem. Like,
yeah,
he would have just pulled a ship out of the air, murdered them, taken their weapons, and then murdered everybody. Or
Yeah.
not, it's not literally, but
yeah.
like Obi-Wan could probably even talk to them and be like, listen, I don't want to fight you.
And if not, he would be able to school them too.
Yeah. And so to put, of all people, Ahsoka in that kind of position,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then put her with youngling Jedis that have been there forever.
Yeah, and then
And
have
she's
them
like, oh,
die
now
under her watch.
I'm responsible for these kids. And then they start dying, and she's like, okay,
yeah,
I need to solve this. And then, like, you meet Chewie, and things go pretty good after that. But,
Yeah.
like, that's such a great character arc episode for
yeah.
her.
Like I said, that's the one where she really starts getting into her own. And then for season 4, I can't really think of anything. Let me back out of this. I don't think there's anything really Ahsoka heavy. Like, she shows up. She's at like the water episode. Oh, A Friend in Need, where she sees the. That's another thing. The Heroes on Both Sides episode.
Yes, okay.
I know that's not really Ahsoka like talking about that, but just briefly before we get into that is like she sorts to see the nuance of the war and not all the separatists are evil and maybe the Republic, they're not as great as they think. Obviously, well, they're both being controlled by a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, they're both bad sides, but to view one side as the only bad side. I think
Yeah.
that episode was like, oh, it's not to highlight like how good the separatists are, because that's what it's supposed to be like in the character's point of view.
Yeah.
But then you look at it from our point of view, it's like, oh, the separatists are just as ambiguous, and like they have no
Yeah.
idea what's coming. Like they're not Sith.
Yeah.
They just think they're the other side.
Yeah, like when she goes there, she goes to the capital, and she's like, "What is this?" Like, you probably expect it's like Mustafar looking place where it's
Yeah.
like all like, you know, like a place of evil, but it was just like basically like Coruscant too.
Yeah.
And then she met Padme's friend, and she's like, "You're friends with a separatist?" She's like, "Yeah, we were friends before the whole thing split." It's like,
Yeah.
no reason we can't still be friends.
And then it's like you can be like, oh, the separatists aren't so bad. And then you cut to parts of the war where they're just murdering innocent like
Yeah.
villagers and stuff, and it's like, oh no, they are bad.
Yeah.
But like, the Republic is better, but not by much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they still occupy worlds and everything for the sake of safety. They just don't like tax people and murder them for no reason.
Yeah. But I also think it's cool to give Ahsoka a semi-love interest. It's not like overt. They're not like making out. They're not like, I love you or anything. But like Lux, that's a pretty cool. And he's a separatist too, technically.
Yeah.
He's out for his own interests. It's a really cool a character to
Yeah,
throw in
and
there.
that'll lead great into the political stuff of Clone Wars, because Star Wars I don't think it's about politics, but it's a very, very political universe. Even the original trilogy is in,
Oh yeah.
with a super oppressive regime, government, like, literally, like Nazis. I
Yeah.
think that was the point. Was
Well,
that
the Empire. I mean, they were called Nazi stormtroopers, and then what are
Yes.
the infantry called? They're called stormtroopers.
To not say that there's not like political themes, at least in Star Wars, I think is a little foolish. Especially in Clone Wars, they have political centered episodes with Padme as like the centerpiece.
Yeah.
Like some of my favorite episodes are when Padme is just Padme and Duchess Satine on
Yes.
Mandalore. Those two are great together.
Yes, the reason the Darth Maul episodes work so well and are as good as they are because of the politics of Mandalore, and because it's like, oh, we are neutral in this war. That's a political thing.
Yeah,
we're not going to fight. And then they have this like zealot group of like outsiders being like, we want to take back our old violent warrior ways and overthrow the government.
Yeah, we want it to be a violent warrior like planet.
Yeah.
And, like, government that we live in.
And the Darth Maul stuff is purely political stuff. Like him at the very end of the arc where he's like having like a puppet master for like the oh god, what's his name? The Prime Minister Almec. That's
Yes.
it. He's basically ruling the thing while Darth Maul's like the shadow emperor of the government.
Yeah.
It's like that's pretty political
Which is
and
like,
cool.
When Death Watch kind of took over Mandalore,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, now Darth Maul can just kill Pre Vizsla. Now he's the ruler of
Yeah.
Mandalore. It's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have gone back to that system, because
yeah.
now a Sith is running our
Yeah.
entire planet, which is awesome that it took, all this lead up and backstory, because I don't think the political stuff would have been as great if they wouldn't have built the tension on Mandalore prior.
Exactly. And
Like-
if you want to
Like them saying like, we have to buy supplies off the black market,
yes.
and it's like,
yeah.
and it's like, if I were on that planet, I'd be like, okay, as long as we have supplies. And
Yeah.
then it's like, oh no, that's bad, and you're bad for doing that, Duchess Satine. She's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
what should I do? And they're like, go back to the old ways. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
That's bad, because then Darth Maul will happen.
Yeah. Darth Maul's going to come back.
Yeah, like they obviously wouldn't have known that, but they like that there's so much tension there. It's not like a simple let's just side with the Republic.
Yeah.
Let's side with the
Yeah.
whatever. It's like it's not going to get solved in like one decision. And it's like, what are we going to do? And then it just divulges into
Yeah. And to sort of merge the two together, a really good political arc and probably the best Ahsoka arc are the final Ahsoka arc. Or is the final Ahsoka arc? Not are the final Ahsoka arc. Final Ahsoka episodes. It's the best, my favorite scene in it, or one of my favorite scenes, I guess. I don't know if I want to say it's my favorite, but it's the whole thing is political. It's when the Jedi, what's the reason that they kick her out? It's because, oh, well, it's going to look bad politically if we have our own Jedi trial, so we're going to excommunicate you from the Jedi so they could put you on trial in the Senate. It's like, how even Plo Koon is on the council, I think. when they're doing the thing, like when they have the tribunal. I mean, Obi-Wan is too, but he's not. He and Anakin are the two that are not, for it at all.
Yeah, and it's terrible what happens to her.
Oh, it's so sad.
Because, like,
the last scene kind of brings me to tears, where she rejects the Padawan braid. She like closes Anakin's hand, and it's in. Oh my goodness. It's
I always
good.
forget that's her Padawan braid.
Yeah, because she technically can't have one.
I always thought it was like part of her culture. What's her race called? Like,
Togretta. Yeah,
Ugh.
it's Shakti.
I like Shakti.
Yeah. Her name is Shakti.
I
only said that to see if you were a real fan, and you're clearly not.
And the podcast. podcast.
So before we get into season 7, is there anything other arcs you really want to touch on?
Yoda.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to talk about. But did you want to talk about the Order 66 arc? Just a little briefly.
I honestly I appreciate it for what it is, but I know what's gonna happen at the end. That it's not gonna get found out. So all the tension there is just like when's he gonna fail?
Okay,
when his Five's not gonna be able to tell the Jedi.
See, so this is a good time to bring this up, because I feel like we were going to get into this when we talked about Rogue One, but that never bothers me with a story. I think it almost enhances it, knowing where it's going, because again, it makes it tragic, but it's also like, it's not the I know it's going to happen, it's the how did it happen that interests me, and like it. It doesn't really, when they're getting shot at, like Fives and all that, it's like, I don't know. It was still tense to me. It's like, I know he's going to die, but that doesn't make it any more real in the situation,
I don't think it was a bad arc because of that. I still enjoyed it. Like, Palpatine is like in prime form.
Oh yeah.
Like him
especially
being,
at the end.
him being like, maybe I should look into this. This could ruin my plans for galaxy domination.
And how does he make Five seem crazy? He tells him the truth. He tells him that the chips are in there to kill the Jedi. And then no one believes him. Anakin's even like, the Chancellor's a good man. He wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's like, go ahead.
Fives.
Go ahead, tell them. They're not going to believe you.
Yeah. And it's also, at the time, this was extremely sad because he was the last member of Domino Squad, the clones from the very first season, from Rookies.
Oh, yeah.
That whole thing. He was the last one until, Echo. But this was like a sad way for them all to die.
Yeah.
But obviously now that is not not the case. But I love that at the end where Palpatine's like, oh, it was used to counter aggression, and every day brings us closer and closer to victory. And you see that look on Yoda's face where it's like,
that's the thing is Yoda. I'm gonna go ahead and say a really, really bad opinion after rewatching the prequel trilogy like we did, and then watching through these episodes again. Yoda does nothing. He does nothing.
What are you talking about? Don't you remember when he whipped out the green lightsaber and he fought Count Dooku and he was like,
and let him get away?
Yeah, let him get away. And then we fought Palpatine and he let him get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then every time something mildly bad foreshadowing happens, Yoda's like, I know something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I want you guys to know something bad might happen. And then he goes back and meditates in his curtained room.
Yeah. Well, my second favorite arc of the whole show is from Lost Ones to Sacrifice, the last arc of season 6.
Where Yoda does something.
Well, I like it. It's because at the very first episode, the Lost Ones deals with actually something that's kind of cool. It deals with Attack of the Clones. You learn who Sifo Dyas is.
Yes.
And like the real machinations of how they were able to order the clone army and everything. And Obi-Wan learns that Dooku is Tyrannus, because it was never Darth Tyrannus. It was just a man called Tyrannus, and they only know him as Dooku. And then he was like, "You're the man called Tyrannus?" He's like, "I told you everything you needed to know on Geonosis years ago." It's like, my God,
he did. He that's the
too
Sith
late
is
now.
so good.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But you're not even gonna believe it.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan even tells Yoda, hey, he said Palpatine's a Sith, and Yoda's like, or was it Mace Windu or Yoda?
He told them both, but he's like, the ways of greed are his ways now. Don't listen to him. Don't.
He's a dick.
Yeah.
He betrayed me.
I know the first episode I said Cad Bane, I think was my 5th favorite character. It's Yoda because of the humbling that he goes through throughout the prequels, again highlighted by this, because in these episodes it's mainly him learning to be a Force ghost and learning to like be selfless and let go of things, but he also learns like by fighting at all he lost.
Yeah.
He learned like the reason he can't say anything is because it's like we already lost. Like
yeah, at this point it's like
it's like he sees the clones, but it's like he doesn't.
Yeah.
What can we do?
That's the thing is like I know Yoda doesn't really do anything. I'll step back a little bit on that statement because he can't really do anything at this.
Yeah.
At the end of like episode 3, like maybe they could have done something during episode 2 before the war escalated into a giant war, but at that point it's like, do I go up in front of the Senate and go stop the fighting, and they go okay.
Yeah, but I mean, he has to answer to the Senate. He really has no power there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's just so it's from like season 5 down. It's just all like tragedy. Season 7's tragic for the episodes in it.
Just before we get into that briefly, I just want to say I really like how they incorporate Qui-Gon, the Force ghosts in here.
Oh yeah,
and the dark side of Yoda, because you wouldn't really think, you always view Yoda as Empire Strikes Back. Yoda's like, oh, serene, light Yoda, doesn't have any dark, but he does have a dark side. But the thing is that he knows it, and he's not like, I don't have a dark side. It's that I have that, but I reject it, and then he uses the Force to like push the Gollum-looking creature away. Oh, it's so cool. And Sacrifice, that might be my favorite episode from this arc, just because he gets that vision. And then like the foreshadowing of Dooku, and I mean this was the original finale, of the Clone Wars, and I think it's good because it's like Yoda said, it's like we're not going to win this war, but if we keep pursuing and we have hope and faith in the Force, we can have victory, not in the Clone Wars, but victory for all time. And then it like pans up to the flower, and I thought that was a good way. Like if you can't show all the episodes, that's a good way to end it. They always say like end your story how you began it. What was the first episode? Yoda episode, and they end it with Yoda. So well, that's not how they ended it, and we got season 7. Again, there was a huge gap of time, 2013 to this year, 2020. Yeah, and we didn't think we were going to get any more Clone Wars.
All they had was those concept ideas.
They had there was like a whole bunch of concepts that got released. There was like going to be more Ahsoka. There was going to be more Bad Batch.
I said the Bad Batch was. Well, at first, they just had the concept episode for it.
Yeah, they had like the animatics where they like had it all structured out. They also had one with Anakin and Obi-Wan. There was going to be a Asajj Ventress arc. We'll probably talk about more of us. I know, Max, you love Asajj. We'll talk about Asajj on the favorite episodes.
That I do.
Because we'll have more time to dissect her character there. Because she's got a really great character, but she's not like exclusive to this because she was in the original one. But then there was like the Ventress book, the Dark Disciple. There was a Darth Maul arc, which is super important. Then there was also Siege of Mandalore, the original. And then, didn't think we were going to get it. We got it piecemeal. Then it was like, oh, this happened. I remember like the first time you finished it, you were like, well, what happened? And I was like, oh, well, then this happened. You were like, oh my God. But then 2 years ago at Celebration, they were like, oh, we have something for you, and it's like, oh, Clone Wars saved, final season, oh my God, fantastic, 12 episodes. Oh, 12? Oh, well, what's it going to be? Oh, Bad Batch.
For 3 of them.
4.
4?
4 of them. 4 Bad Batch episodes.
You know what? Let's just go through each arc in season 7 and talk about.
Oh, them. All 3 of them?
All. So that's. I don't hate this arc. I don't think there's any like terrible parts of this I won't watch again.
Neither do I.
But it's frustrating because we know what we could have gotten.
Yeah.
There was stuff on YouTube, videos on YouTube and stuff, and that you can find of like everything that Kevin had just talked about, and it's like, okay, they did the Bad Batch, which I think the Bad Batch is really cool.
It's a cool idea.
But they made it 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And
they brought back Echo, which
okay. That's okay.
We're going to do an episode on bringing back dead characters. So I'm going to explain my problem with that more there, but I'm not a fan.
Say Echo didn't bother me because it's a clone Echo. And it's like, okay.
Right, but it was like at that point, all of the Domino Squad had been dead and it died with Fives.
Well, they could. Did they address that? Did they tell Echo like, yeah, everyone's dead?
No, Echo had died before that.
No, I mean, like, did they tell Echo like he's like, where's Fives? Where's did he ever say that? I don't remember.
I don't think I've only seen it once. I don't remember.
Even that mention would have been interesting.
Yeah, but no.
But they didn't. So
possibly. I don't know.
They give you like an A-team like style, Bad Batch, which they're cool, but like they're like where can you go with them? Like they're all one-note characters.
I think
that's how they're supposed to be. It's like they all get along. Like you would think that the sniper wouldn't get along with the leader, but they already all get along. They've already like in my head they've already had their character arcs together. They've already gotten over their differences and they're all like friends. It's like what do we have to learn
that's
about
why I
them?
kind of am excited for the Bad Batch show because maybe it'll make them. That's what I'm hopeful for. It'll make them more than just like, I'm the big heavy guy. I like explosions like that.
I'm the nerd. I know every single language in the human language.
Yeah, that is like, and I don't know. I know this is a personal bias. I'm not holding it against this, but every time I think of an elite clone unit consisting of 4 people, and it's not as good as Delta Squad.
Baby.
Can you imagine if there was like, we need to bring in Delta Squad? I mean, they're already in the show.
If they would have made like 2 episodes of saving Echo, even if they had to save Echo still, but it was Delta Squad, I would be gripping my thumbs and like on the edge of my seat, like
Scorch, give us some heavy artillery. Oh my God, that would be
set up sniper position. It's like
already, sir. I'm already on it. Yeah.
Even thinking about it, like, just makes me like so upset that we got the Martez sisters.
Okay, so the Martez sisters, I'm going to start by saying I don't hate them. I don't think they're bad characters. Again, it's more like they didn't need to drag this out for 4 episodes. By the end of the first episode, I got the point of what Ahsoka was supposed to be and like what how the people view the Jedi and all that. So I didn't need more episodes. The only other thing I can say about this arc that I thought was cool was you got to see a different side of Kessel when they were like, oh, we're going to Kessel. And it was like all clean and shiny. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened? And then you learn there's like another side. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Other than that, it could have been 1 to 2 episodes, and it's just sort of pointless.
Yeah. So Kevin and I, when this was first coming out, we would watch every episode as it would come out week. Cause it came out weekly,
you
right?
did. I watched this all in one go.
Oh, it must have been John that I was talking to then.
Yeah, John Mando.
Yeah. So I would watch one episode and go, okay, I hope they don't continue this in the next episode, because like I don't like the idea of Ahsoka having to hide the fact that she's a Jedi from regular people. First of all, I don't know why.
Because they have like a prejudice against. Didn't their family die because Jedi didn't intervene? Something stupid.
The Jedi went, I can't help it. Trust in the Force. It's like I like the idea of Ahsoka being like, oh, I have to be a Jedi, but like I have to hide it and try to pretend like I'm a regular person, and like she makes Jedi decisions where I'm gonna help you even though I don't know you and I will get nothing from it, and everyone's like, why are you trying to help me out? Like, what do you want? And it's like, okay, I can see that. Yeah. I can see that being cool, but put that after Order 66. That's a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Like have a Jedi blending in with regular civilians.
Oh God, do you think Ahsoka's gonna show up in Bad Batch? That might be a bit much. If they keep making her show up in every TV show.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen if they're going to have Bad Batch Is it post Order 66?
It's post Order. I think it might start like immediately after. Which would be interesting because I don't think they have chips in their heads.
I mean, I can see them mentioning maybe like Ahsoka or whatever, but if they actually have her in the show, I'll be like, come on.
I probably want Captain Rex more than Ahsoka if a Clone Wars character were to show up. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
And
put some clones in there. I mean,
yeah.
Rex and
Wolf.
God,
maybe they can explain how Gregor came back. Anyway, so I don't like that arc. And hot take, I like the Siege of Mandalore arc at the end, but I don't think it's like super like fantastic. And that's because I think the best arc in the show is the original like build up to Darth Maul Mandalore arc, like because you have build up from season 2. From the very first Death Watch episode, even though it's an anthology, all the way up to when Darth Maul kills Satine, that is like flawless build-up. Because every time it deals with it, it enhances the story and builds it up. because you go to this season, you get the Ahsoka thing, and then immediately in the last episode they're like, oh well, we need to go to Mandalore, we need your help, and it's like, wait, what? There's no build up to this. There's like maybe a Darth Maul mention, and it's like, oh god.
Which I think, like, for the Siege of Mandalore, they cut out a lot that doesn't make sense now if you're watching. Say if you were to watch all the Mandalore stuff in order, from season 2 all the way to season 7, like, the last you see of Darth Maul is Sidious's "I have plans for you," and it's like, okay, I can't wait until they expand on that in season 7.
There is one mention when he's talking to Death Watch, and he's like, when you rescued me in the comic book that we didn't make into an episode. That is honestly the two episodes, there are 2 arcs that you could have easily fit in. If you would have cut the Martez sisters down to 2, Bad Batch down to 2, you could have done the Anakin and Obi-Wan Crystal Crisis episode, because it's relevant to everything. It's the Death Star crystal, Kyber crystal, and it deals with their relationship. What is the one thing you keep saying about, like, this show is like, oh, it keeps building to Revenge of the Sith. It's great at showing the prequels and stuff. That one is great, and it deals with Anakin dealing with the fallout of Ahsoka. And there's a great conversation where Anakin is like, how would you sleep at night knowing that if I failed you? Because that's how he feels. Like, he feels like he failed Ahsoka. And Obi-Wan's like, you don't need to worry about that, Anakin, because you'll never disappoint me, and that won't be happening. And it's like, oh my god.
Dude.
He has such faith and love in Anakin that he just can't, it's going to break him.
That's my... I love episode 7, like, visually. I think it's obviously it's the best looking one. They had Disney funding for it. But there's, like, it feels like when we start the Siege of Mandalore arc, like, there's so much we're missing. We're missing Anakin, missing Ahsoka.
Yes, yeah.
Like, have Anakin be like, I don't know, I just feel like
have him
failure.
Contact her, yeah.
Like, I don't feel like a real Jedi. I couldn't even raise a Padawan correctly or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, instead of having him just see her again and be like, I missed you, Snips.
Yeah.
The clones painted their faces for
you.
And it's like...
There's, like, so many missed conversations. Yeah. And it's... I don't know if...
For instance, like you said, Anakin having all the dark moments throughout the entire show where, like, he'll kill somebody and go, what? And, like, the Darth Vader theme has undertones.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, ooh, that's
or when
good.
He's literally given the vision of his dark future in the Mortis episode.
And then they wipe his memory.
Yeah. That's fine.
That's fine. But the point is like there's build up to something that's not going to happen in the show. But that's not the point. But there's still build up to it.
Yeah.
And then in episode 7, like, I want to see how, like, devastated Anakin was when Ahsoka left, and that conversation between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Season 7.
Yeah, sorry.
You kept saying episode 7. I thought you meant the movie.
My bad. Season 7.
Yeah.
And yeah, just fix that in post. That's just kind of my complaint. Is like, I do like the Siege of Mandalore. I think it's really good, but it's like they skip over an entire season, an entire arc of, like, lead up to that they should have had.
Yeah.
Like, have like even a political episode would have been fine, of the Senate being like, we cannot interfere with Mandalore.
Yeah.
And the other side going like, oh, we should though. We should interfere in Mandalore.
They don't have time. Keep going. You got to keep going. It's like, I don't know. But the other arc, if you have not read Son of Dathomir, do yourself a favor and read that. You're talking about that chunk of the story being lifted for Bad Batch and Martez sisters. It's like, that's so important. You can't just throw it away in a dialogue, because it deals with Mother Talzin. It deals with the Shadow Collective, Darth Maul's whole thing, and how he's losing control of that. Darth Maul fights General Grievous. Wouldn't that have been cool to see? Sidious and Dooku intervene with everything, and it's like, and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, and there's like this whole big, like, it would have been so cool to see. The Knight brothers actually get in and fight, and Dooku has to, like, fight them off and kill them. Man, it's such a good, like, story-wise and action-wise, it's like, man, such a missed opportunity. If they ever decide to make more episodes, or like, oh, Clone Wars is doing well. I know that they put out a tweet like, hey, if you really support the Clone Wars, we might be able to make more stuff. And I think they were talking about the Bad Batch show. But if they ever do decide to, like, redo the old episodes, for the love of God, 3 arcs, and I don't care about any of the rest. Son of Dathomir, the Crystal Crisis on Utapau, and Dark Disciple. That could be its own little season. No one would care if it's just more like, oh, like you're saying this is the final season. Well, here's more. No one would care. No one would have cared if this was like a 30 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, what are there, like 16 episodes or something?
There's
per
12.
season?
There's 22.
22 per season, and then
And that was airing weekly.
yeah,
Just like how they put these out. It's like, you can't tell me. It's like, well, people are going to wait 12 weeks. Well, then double them up. 2 episodes a week. You could finish an arc in 2 weeks.
yeah.
That would have been nice.
And I don't know much about Son of Dathomir, Dark
Oh my
Disciple, or the
Crystal Crisis. They're all worth it.
I'm only now reading Dark Disciple, but from what you've told me before about them, it would have been great.
Yeah. No,
Like, Dark Disciple deals with more of the Jedi and the Sith, how they're more alike than different. Because, you know, it focuses on Ahsoka and Quinlan Voss.
Yes.
He's
Ventress.
Not Ahsoka, sorry. Regardless, there's so many like this season 7 just almost felt like they were just trying to appeal to Star Wars fans.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I am the kind of person that's like, I can be, it's not like I can't ever be happy. Like, I'm happy with a lot of the Star Wars stuff that's come out. And like, it's more like I can always see what can be done better type deal. So that's why when I see something that's like really well done, I'm like, okay, you know, there's not really much you could have done to do better.
Yeah.
But then I look at like season 7 as a whole, and I'm like, I don't know. One pretty good arc is not going to lift up 8 other pretty okay to bad episodes.
Yeah, because that's half of it.
Yeah, it's
That's
more than half of it.
More than half of it is okay.
Okay filler, because I mean,
Yeah.
everyone was just here for the WWE SmackDown that was the Siege of Mandalore.
Oh.
Which was good. I'm
And
not gonna. It's good.
I want to say, despite all of season 7 kind of being a letdown, episode 12, the last episode of the last season, I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
I get pretty emotional when I watch like TV and movies.
Yeah.
So like the scene where Ahsoka and Rex are looking off at like the hangar, and like Rex is like, I can't kill my brothers. I can't do this. Like, and he's freaking out, and like he's crying and stuff. And it's like, oh,
yeah.
like this also sucks for Rex. Like,
Yeah, no, it's
not
good.
just Jedi, but like his brothers are now trying to murder him and his general.
Yeah.
Like, ooh,
Well, it's good stuff.
ooh, not his general. Sorry, fact checkers. His because she's not even a general. She's just a girl
Yeah.
thing, alien.
Yeah, and the reason I feel like we're so hard on this is because we love the other stuff, and the other stuff is so good.
Yeah.
That's why we're a bit harder on this, and we're a bit harder on Rebels, because, you know, this Rebels was the replacement. They canceled Clone Wars to make Rebels at the time. Yeah, so that's why we're a bit hard on it. But this is my favorite Star Wars show. I love it. If they would make like 3 more seasons, I'd be fine. No, seriously, this is one of those things where I could just like, I've rewatched the show 5 times.
Yeah.
I could probably watch it 5 more times. You know what I mean? And not get bored, because there's always something interesting. You know, even if it's like a, you know, the what do you call it? The D Squad arc. I know that the next arc is going to be, you know, Darth Maul. So, you know, it's like always, even in that arc, Gregor. I like Gregor in Clone Wars.
Aren't you happy that he came back in Rebels?
No, but that is a discussion for Rebels. No, it's a discussion for our episode on bringing characters back from the dead.
I don't want to talk about Rebels anymore.
So, yeah, I just wanted to wrap it up by saying that I love this show. It's one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media and everything. And whatever we didn't talk about today, we're going to talk about in our top 10 episodes whenever that comes out.
Yeah, because a lot of the episodes I really like have nothing to do with the story. Like,
the overall story.
Like, I love Admiral Trench so much.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But do you have anything else you want to add?
I didn't bring it up this video because I've brought it up before, but this show has really elevated the prequels for me. And I know, like, people you should separate media from each other and like look at it as itself, but
I agree.
It's really hard to do that in the instance of Star Wars, where there's so much of it and I've seen so much of it. Like when I'm watching the trilogies, the original trilogy, I'm thinking of the sequel trilogy. and I'm watching the prequels and thinking of, oh, this is gonna lead into the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just like when I'm watching episode 3, I'm not like, ooh, what's gonna happen? I know they're all gonna get killed, but I still enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also am of the opinion that all the extra material should like not explain things that should be in the movie. It shouldn't do like the pickup job. It just give like light context to things. That's what I think the best novelizations do, you know.
That's why the prequels are okay, because they don't just like fumble for things to make sense. Like the Clone Wars was mentioned in the original trilogy. So it's like, okay, clones exist. What do? We just make a bunch of clones. Episode 3, we put a chip in their brain to make them stormtroopers. It's like, okay, all right. Like, you don't really need more than
that's
that.
the thing, is like in Revenge of the Sith, they never say why they turn on the Jedi, but it's kind of nice to have like extra context.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You don't need it, but it's
Yeah.
there if you want to see it.
It's like, oh, why do they do that? It's like, doesn't matter. They already did it.
Yeah,
Like,
but-
the damage is done.
Yeah, but that'll do us. That'll do it for us on the Middle Ground, Middle Ground, a Star Wars podcast for today. Wait, no. Before you do that, I have to say the stuff. We're on Instagram at Middle Ground or Star Wars Middle Ground Podcast. I post on there pretty much every week, just giving some updates and maybe some memes or questions. You're obviously listening to this on YouTube right now or iTunes. I might put this on iTunes soon. And it's at Middle Ground, a Star Wars podcast, hosted by Max Obasco and Kevin Isaacs. And if you want to email us, email us at
Don't bother.
swmiddleground@gmail.com. And we have a Discord, so just message us if you want to get on the Discord. That's probably the most active thing we have.
Yeah.
Or second most, because Instagram's got like 126 followers now.
True. Amen, brother. Yeah, we always post episodes and everything on the Discord, and you can even talk to us if you wanted to.
Yeah, tell us how wrong we are about not liking Siege of Mandalore,
and I'll do my best to ignore your opinion. Just focus on my own. I'm not gonna do that.
No. You know what? That was another thing that kind of bugged me about season 7, where like they tried to connect it to like more of the Disney stuff a lot more. Like, remember when she's going, "I'm one with the Force is with me."
I'm one with the Force is with me.
And then like little Kanan was in the, but that was fine.
Yeah.
That was.
I don't know. Season 7 could have been better, but they definitely could have made it worse, I guess.